Thanks, Sally. Thank you. Well, welcome. We're here on behalf of Refugee Education Australia, which Sally is at the helm of, and we're very grateful for this opportunity to talk to you today about how to write a good motivation statement. And that's presented by myself and Asma. But first, we're representing Monash University because that's where we hang out and we look after students from refugee and asylum seeker backgrounds. So we'd just like to recognise that Australian campuses, or where we are today, are located on the unceded lands of the people of the Kulin Nations and pay our respect to their elders past and present. Ivakar and I are probably on the same land, Bunurong land, and Asma is out in Peninsula today, so she'd be on Bunurong land as well, which is interesting. Cool. All right. Thanks, Asma. Next slide. So just a little bit about us and what's brought us here today. Well, I've been in the university sector for 22 years now, and all of those years have been at Monash because I'm institutionalised and I'm scared to learn another system. But no, it's a good place to work. So I started working in a faculty, I worked in central admission, so I got a real good understanding of the application process. I've worked for 12 years in orientation and transition, so I understand what it is to be a new student coming in and how to support them. And I currently work in student support and engagement. I've worked with students from asylum seeking or refugee backgrounds since 2018, and it has been one of the highlights of my career. And I'm very passionate about equity and access for all. Asma.
Hi everyone, my name is Asma. I'm part of international student team at Monash Connect. Sorry about my muffy voice. Cold has got into me, so my body is showing reaction to the bacteria around us. So it's just that in terms of my role, I look after international students, and as Jude said, one of the highlights of my career also is supporting our humanitarian and refugee background students at Monash University too. I'm a former asylum seeker and recipient of Monash and Melbourne Humanitarian Scholarship recipient. And then I'm based in Melbourne. I am passionate about equity, well-being, and creating inclusive education space for all, which has been highlighted in my professional life and my education life too. Perfect.
So
And
yeah, oh sorry, did you want to say? We just wanted to say that all questions are welcome. All questions are good questions. So Iftikhar or anybody else who joins us, if you'd like to ask any question at any time during the session, you can use the chat or just stick up your hand and or with a reaction or just come on camera and we'll answer your question there and then. Thank you.
perfect. In today's session, I really want to highlight that why we are here and why it's important to pay attention to our application. Um, it is a TAFE application season. It is happening, and it's very important to plan ahead. So I'm hoping that after today's session, you take this as a homework to start your application, especially if you're applying for 2026 scholarships. We understand that this process is exhausting, daunting, and it's very stressful, especially for those who don't have a family member to rely on and they are the first in the family joining tertiary education. I really want to say that from today's session that you're not alone. You have got a great network of support around you, but the initial step that you really need to take is to reach out to them. Your story is very unique, and we really need to acknowledge the process and journey that you have been through. We really want to guide you step by step in today's session how to tell your story and importantly, pay attention to application process. Um, because sometimes it might not be all about you, it might be about your future too. Uh, we really want you to set yourself for success by paying attention to details and taking extra steps throughout the application process too. That is all about me, about the slides. Um, Jude, just the next slide. We really would love to do a bit of an activity together. Um, Given that you've learned more about us, we really want to learn more about you. So if you could scan the QR code or join us at theslido.com and put a pin, that would be amazing.
We had somebody just before, another person, but I think they've dropped off. But that's okay. Yeah, we're just doing a little bit of an exercise, so it's a little bit more interactive today. But we'll just do this nice and quickly and move on to the rest of the presentation. All
Can you
right.
see, can you see my screen now?
Yep.
Lovely.
So we were just keen to know, yeah, what brought you to today's session? What inspired you to join us today? And yeah, you can just pop your answer in the Slido. If you're having trouble entering that, that's fine. We just thought we'd take some information from the people who are joining us today, and just to make sure we can tailor what we're doing to you as well. So if you'd rather just put it in the chat too, that's easier as well. What is
That
it that
works with us.
interested you in this session? Um, and the other, we've just got two questions to start with. Sorry, I have a little bit of movement in my house today. All right. Well, I'm not sure how comfortable you guys might be with Slido, but we were just looking to see what it is that you're looking for when you're coming to a session like this, so that we could support you. But that's okay. We could just keep moving through the presentation and take it from there. So I think we're on slide 7, please, Asma. Alrighty. Next one. Yep. So oftentimes you'll need a motivation statement for a few things in life, whether it be applying for a course, applying for a job, applying for a scholarship. So we just wanted to give you a little couple of things about the university admission process. It is a competitive process, and there are particular things that you need to think about when you're applying, like do you meet the eligibility criteria and prerequisites for a course? And you do that by showing what studies you've already achieved and what you've been doing. So a lot of the times they're really just looking for academic ability, and they make a decision based on that. But sometimes they're also looking for aptitude or qualities and things. So in those situations, you might need a motivation statement. So when you're looking at admission, which is quite separate in many instances to scholarships, think about your academic achievements and what you can put down, what you've studied, what you've done, what languages they've been in, because there's all sorts of things that you need to sort of check off when you're applying for courses. And you may be asked to talk about your motivations and aspirations, because they want people who are coming to the university from a particular values base, or from a particular characteristics that will then make them a better psychologist, social worker, doctor, engineer, accountant, that sort of thing. And they also want to know your career plans to make sure that, when you're applying for a course, it is in line with what you're hoping to achieve. So you might be interested in doing an arts course, but want to actually work in the medical profession. So it doesn't align. So you need to make sure that your career plans are in alignment with what the course is and what you're going to get out of it. Now, of course, you can do an arts course and it can lead you to many different careers, as it has for me. There's definitely nothing wrong with an arts course, but just think about your career plans and how well they align, and whether you can also describe that if you're asked to do so in a motivation statement. Okay, next slide, please, Asma. So applying for scholarships is also a competitive process. There are a limited amount of scholarships and a lot of people applying for them. And for the most part, they look at academic merit, but they also look at equity as well. So they need to know a little bit more about your story to decide whether or not you're a worthy applicant for it. So when applying for scholarships, you need to communicate your personal qualities, your values, your aspirations, and what's happened in your life as well. And we'll talk about that more shortly. So common criteria when you're applying for scholarships are things like your academic achievements, which is often called the merit parts. So at Monash University, for example, we have merit and we have equity scholarships. So the merit comes under your academic achievements. if you're getting, scores that are in the high 90s, you've got a good chance of getting a merit scholarship. Also, your motivations and aspirations, like do you fit within the criteria of this scholarship in terms of who you are and what you believe in? They would like to know a bit about your leadership experience and potential. Like what have you done that makes you stand out from the crowd? What is something that you've done that's given you different knowledge and skills and experience that will set you up for doing well in this course and being a good candidate for the scholarship? They're interested oftentimes in community involvement because being at university at TAFE is about creating, good citizens, not just from an academic or an industry perspective, but it's also about good citizens in terms of a society perspective and what you're going to contribute to society. And then there's the equity side of scholarships, which is about financial or personal hardship. Sometimes it's about living in a regional or rural area or going to a school that is underrepresented in terms of other students that have gone on to university. All those things can give you more points or more characteristics that make you look good for a scholarship. Thanks, Asma. Okay, so the application processes. If you're seeking permanent protection, like you don't have a permanent visa as yet, you'll be considered an international student when it comes to admission and fees. So just when you're applying for courses, just check that and make sure you are applying in the correct manner and following the instructions on the websites or if you're applying in person. Now, if you're applying as an international student, there sometimes is a fee when applying for courses. At Monash, I think it's $100 or $150. However, people like Asma and I at the university, we have waiver codes specifically for you guys so that you don't have to pay a fee when you're applying for courses. And that will probably be the case at other universities as well. So save yourself some money and ask for a waiver code for an application based on the grounds that you are from an asylum seeking or refugee background but don't currently have permanent residency. So if you're in that cohort, a scholarship will be very, very important to your studies because international fees are very expensive. The local fees are heavily subsidized, but international students pay full fees and maybe even a little bit more. So that is why we have a number of scholarships that are there for students who are seeking asylum to make sure that education is accessible to you as well. Now, every place, every university, TAFE have different criteria and requirements for their scholarships. So it's really important to understand what they are and try and meet them for each one. And we'll give you some hints and tips on how to manage that shortly. Like at Monash, they really just look at your academic merit. They actually don't ask for a motivation statement, but we've done some good research into what happens when you do need a motivation statement so that we can guide you accordingly. Thanks, Asma. All right, this one's yours.
Perfect. Now, let's talk about applying for scholarship itself, and then also just going through with um, specific scholarship that you need to apply. As I said at the start of the session, it's very important to be organized in this process. And to do that, we come across with a great tips that our students used and had worked best for them. And that could be simply creating a spreadsheet with the courses and the scholarships that you're applying alongside with your application in a Google slide. So if you haven't used Google Doc previously, it's a good practice for you to start using those applications. Um, because many talented students miss out on a poor application. It doesn't simply mean that their application is not worthy. It missed some informations on their applications. They're not answering the right questions in those applications, or they're not providing the document that they're supposed to do. By creating these spreadsheets, you will make sure that you complete all of these steps, but at the same time, you are completing this in a timely manner. So make sure that you include the due date of the applications in your spreadsheet too. One thing that I really want to highlight in today's workshop is that it's very important to personalize your application when you're applying for a specific scholarships with different institutions, something that students always miss. And we can see that mispractice of someone who are applying for jobs too. They use the same resume when they're applying for jobs in the market. Um, what we really want to highlight that it's very important and crucial that you personalize your applications for specific scholarships. For example, if you're applying for specific application to study medicine with Monash, your application should be unique to Monash University and the values within Monash. But if you're applying for medicine with University of Sydney, it needs to reflect what they're asking, what they are looking for their students to. Something that you really need to be mindful. We have seen that there's a rise of using AI. Remember this. AI such as ChatGPT, Gemini, and other
Copilot.
application
Mm.
needs to be a form of tool, not taking over your application. Use them to check your Grammarly and then also proofread your application. But your application needs to come from your heart and needs to reflect you. Remember that when you're preparing your application. When we are talking about motivation statements or personal statements, as the name sounds, it really needs to be guided by the application and then by the candidates of the course that we're applying. So let's go one step back and let's define what is a motivation statement. A motivation or personal statement is a short essay that explain why you're applying for the program. It could be in a form of scholarships or a form of job in the market. It goes beyond your resume that it lists of what you have done or your job titles. It needs to tell a personal story. It needs to tell who you are. Your goal in the motivation statement or personal statement is to convince us as a reader why you're the best fit for this opportunity. Why you? Um, so it's very important to be guided by the application and the information they are seeking. I really want to dive into from that point to in this slide to highlight what we do mean. Jude has done a terrific job of highlighting different scholarships, websites, and what they're asking in this slide. And I really want you to focus on this. We really want to just with the basis of the time, I really want to highlight the differences and similarities between Swinburne University scholarship application for 2025 and then also ACU refugee scholarships. In Swinburne Welcome Scholarships 2025, it's very important to read the scholarship website carefully. As you can see, they are asking about your involvement in the community, what you have done so far, and highlighting a leadership potential that you can showcase in your personal statement. It could be through your school activity, your community, as in a community example. You could have been part of SRC as a CAP program, or any involvement that you have done as a part of your advocacy work. Church, youth group, CMY is doing an amazing jobs in their projects that you can be involved with them. Sport clubs, any part of clubs that you are from your school or your community, youth focused programs. It could be, for example, Victorian Afghan Association that you're part of. So these are the things that you really need to highlight in your applications. But as you can see, ACU Refugee Scholarships wants to highlight why you want to be part of the ACU community and how the scholarship could financially support you while studying. So that's what I really mean. But your personal statement needs to be guided of what universities are asking you. Please pay attention in your application and read their scholarship website carefully. Similarly, you can see that RMIT and then also Uni Western Sydney Asylum Seekers scholarships are asking for specific explanations in that includes why and demonstrating how good citizen you are, that you can showcase your volunteering activities with them. Perfect. So, what would you put in a motivation statement? It's a big question that we always have. Um, it is important to note that your statement needs to tell me a story, how you started it, what are the challenges, and then how it can, what are your ambition and goals are. You need to reflect on your personal journey. And then also, you really need to focus on your social impact on your personal statements. We've started the sessions by telling you about our values, that we are equity-based focused. We really want to give back to the community. That's the values that reflect Jude and I. You really need to find who truly you are, what you believe in, that simply you can showcase in your personal statement. Um, you need to communicate your education and career goal carefully. And this is very important in your application. If you want to do medicine, how Bachelor of Biomedical Science or Bachelor of Science can help you throughout the application. Have you set the GAMSAT? Have you completed these applications? These are the things that you can highlight in your personal statements. And then also highlight your contributions. Have you been part of any volunteering with the hospitals? Include that, it's very crucial. And then also how you're giving back to the community. That's very important because some universities that we highlighted in the previous slide are keen to hear more about that in your statement. That's something that you really need to focus when you're started writing those applications too. Anything that you would like to add, Jude, in this slide?
No, I think you said that really well. It's exactly what need to do. So yeah, the next few slides will give you a little bit more insight on how to do that.
As I said before, your statement, it's like a story. It needs to have a clear structure. It needs to start with an introduction, who you are, which country you're coming from, and it needs to tell about the challenges. When we're focusing on the challenges, we really want you to be mindful of the language that you're using. And then also, it needs to be action oriented, what you want to do, how you can help, but at the same time, what are your achievements that you have done so far? You really need to be clear about your vision. If you really want to become an engineer in the future, you really need to showcase that in your personal statements. In comparison, for a person who really wants to become a doctor. So these are the differences that you really need to include. In saying that, sometimes as a student, we are confused about what we really need to do. It is absolutely okay. But overall, what the person that you really want to become in the future needs to be highlighted in your personal statements. And it's very important to say thank you for the consideration at the end of your application too. So please be mindful of the words that you use and please put at least 100 words at the end for the introductions and then the conclusion too. Now, Jude, let's discuss about do's and don'ts, especially when it comes to the applications.
Thanks, as well. Yes, absolutely. So there's a few things that we need you to consider, and we've touched on a couple of these as we've been talking through it, but we just want to give you a little bit more emphasis on some of them. So in terms of the do's, it's important that you be honest and authentic. Be yourself. Be who you are, and represent yourself truly. Uh, so on the other hand, on the don't side of things, don't use a generic template or don't use something that your sister did or that your friend did or something like that. Make sure that it is you and it's honestly you. Another do is to link your experience to your goals. So when you're talking about a volunteering thing you did, try and link it to the career or the study plans that you might have. And try not to make it all about the hardships. While these scholarships are for people who've experienced hardship and have come here, for particular reasons and difficulties that have happened in their home country, we can't make it all about that. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. So another do is to show how you contribute to society. Use specific examples of things you've done Or sometimes it might be a case where because of your financial situation, you've had to work and you haven't been able to contribute. You might want to say something like, I would have liked to have volunteered with this association, but I was working full time to support my family. That's okay. You can do that. So on the don't side of things, don't leave out any experiences, any training, extracurricular activities that you've been involved in, because you may have gained skills or experience that directly relates to what it is that you're doing and might actually meet what the criteria that the assessors are looking for. Back on the do sides, we want you to really check your spelling and grammar. Make sure you proofread your applications. That's really important because you need to show your aptitude for the course and for the rigors of academic English at a university level by maintaining a really clear and concise statement. But on the other hand, don't overuse AI, as Asma was talking about before. Another do is to park any sense of entitlement. Universities don't like when you say, this happened to me, so I deserve this. They really don't like that. That's for them to decide. So you need to say things like, this would really help me. This would be very useful. I would like to do this. I would like to give back that. But not because, anything that you deserve as such. It's really everybody's coming in fair game and we're going to give everybody a chance. And the other don't on this page is don't leave it to the last minute because then it becomes a rush job and you can't really stop and think about it. And you might forget information as well that you meant to add in, but you didn't get a chance to do because you were sort of rushing at the last minute. All right. So just a bit more in a bit more depth, we don't think it's good to use emotional and dramatic language because what happens is, and this is also links to graphic details from your past. We acknowledge that trauma is in a lot of people's past and they have to deal with things and and even if that's made you more resilient or something like that, the assessors won't look very kindly on that really dramatic language and graphic information because they might stop and think, well, are you really the best person for this course? Because you may not be completely at terms with what's happened to you in the past. Arusa just asked a good question. Should we apply for scholarships through VTAC or universities' websites? That's a really good question. It can depend on what you're trying to study. If you're a year 12 student or you're finishing year 12 and you're applying through VTAC, there is a way to apply through scholarships, apply through VTAC for the scholarships as well. I know that's how it is for Monash. Some universities, however, have a different application. So you've just got to check that. You've got to read and make sure you know what you're doing. And that's where the spreadsheet comes in handy because you can put in how do I apply for this one, and that way you won't miss any key dates and things. As we discussed before, coming back to your motivation statement, why do you specifically deserve a place in a course or scholarship? Yeah, it's not for you to say why you deserve a place. That's up to the assessors. Don't include information on others who received a place in the course or received a scholarship. This is about you. This is about your journey and stuff like that. So, you could say, I've seen it where people have said, I got an ATAR of 90, but my friend who got an ATAR of 85 got into this course. Why didn't I? There's so many other factors and things that they look at. So it's really just important to focus on you and your motivations. And also, it's not good to say that it's expected that you get a place in a course or a scholarship. If mum and dad's hopes and dreams are riding on you, or grandpa always said you were going to be a fantastic nurse one day, that's probably not what we're looking for. But you could possibly turn that into something that's around your motivations, around what you want to do, and that this is something that you believe you'd be good at. Thanks, Asma. So just some further examples of what not to say. You can't say things like that are just very generic, like I come from a poor background and need a scholarship to study, or I have a disability so I can't work and that's why I need a scholarship. This is what's happening to me and I can't study without a scholarship, or I'm the best candidate for a scholarship, or if I have a scholarship, I won't have to work. That's a really not a good statement because a lot of universities want you to work. They want you to get that experience and that industry capabilities and things that you get from work. So that doesn't really show what they're looking for. That doesn't show it's not a go-getter attitude, which is what they are deep down looking for. They want somebody who wants to be there because this is their trajectory. This is their path in life. So yeah, just got to be careful with what you say as much as with what things not to say with as much as with things that you should say. All
Now,
right.
let's go back to AI and how we can use it ethically throughout your process and your application. AI, including ChatGPT, can be a supportive tool for you. That includes Gemini, DeepSeek, and other applications. But remember this, these tools cannot replace your voice. And if you generate your statement using ChatGPT, it's very visible for the reader or for those who oversees your application. That it can be in your professional life, in a recruitment manners, and then on the site when it comes to the universities, in the admission team too. Use AI as a proofreading tool to check your grammar, to check your structure. And then also remember this, universities are have got specific rules and regulation when it comes to an AI. So it's a good practice for you before joining universities on how to do assessment properly. And treat this as one of your homeworks that you really need to complete to your best ability. So, what we really encourage you to do is to draft your personal statements, put what you have in your mind and heart in a piece of paper, and polish it as you go. Read it multiple times. Remember this that we cannot complete our personal statements by our first go-to. That happens in the movies, but not in a real life. And then also, assessors really want to hear your voice, the tones that you use, the words that it's so impactful in your life that comes in your writings in that piece of paper. So don't destroy that by creating a generic version of your personal statement by using ChatGPT. And don't rely heavily on them too. It can be addictive that can impact your academic life in the future too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Like when you use a lot of AI, you're not giving your brain the chance to make those pathways and to learn and to gain things like that. And you just become over reliant. It's like using a calculator. If you're always going to use a calculator, you'll forget how to add, or you just won't say, I'm actually going to try and add this up myself. And those pathways that's happening in your brains don't really get to form or keep going. So this is really important for when you're at university too because they know when you're using AI and they put it through technology and different software and stuff like that. So um, keep that brain active is what we're trying to say.
Absolutely. Now, we touched based on the mission statement of what to include, what to not. We have extensively discussed what part of a structure that we really need to focus on, but importantly, we have discussed that the content of your personal statement needs to reflect you. It's a good time to practice what we mean and what we have learned so far in today's sessions. I've just that when you're writing your personal statements, your mission statements needs to be highlighted in that application. Um, let's practice together in this session on how to write your mission statement. Um, I can give you my mission statement that I've used in my personal application when it comes to the scholarships. That gives you a bit of a background about my personal life. As a first in the family generation, I really wanted to highlight my beliefs and then also my background in my mission statement. So that's why I've started by saying, as a first generation student from a refugee background, I am committed to building inclusive health program for marginalized communities in Australia. That These personal statements truly reflect my work, my beliefs, and then also who I am as a person in my community. And that's what I really want you to focus when you're writing your statements. You really need to build on that step by step to give us the knowledge of who you are and what is your story. So I'm so glad that Orzu, Nurullah, and Iftikhar, you're in today's session so we can practice that your mission statement together.
Yeah, so if you'd like to, you can start writing down something like that. Um, some of those key points and values that you have and motivations. And if you want to share them in the chat, you can. If you'd rather keep them for yourself, that's fine as well. But if you want some feedback, we could probably spend some time giving you that. But we've got another one here, which is for scholarships that we used.
Um,
So, and again, what we were trying to achieve here was that it explains that you face challenges, but what you've done to overcome those and how you're ready for the future. So,
so for the scholarships, I wrote, coming from a low income background, I have juggled multiple jobs while excelling in my studies, highlighting my ATAR from high school. With a scholarship, with the power of a scholarship, I can better focus on my education, studies, and spend time developing my skills that I need for teaching. This is when I was peer mentor with a specific organization back in high school. I was a volunteer focused and I was community driven. So, this is something that I really included in my scholarship statement. Again, this is not a perfect example. It can be polished, it can be improved on, but this was something that represented me. I really want you to focus on writing your mission of a statement that really represents you. Something to remember. If you have got a sister who have applied for the scholarships, it's good to read their personal statement, but don't heavily influence on them.
yeah. So yeah, we're saying it's one sentence that captures who you are, what drives you, and how you want to change the world. That can be really handy in a scholarship application. That change the world thing is kind of important from a university perspective, who have those strong values around making the next professionals of tomorrow who are going to make advancements and innovations and changes and make the world a better place. Thanks, Asma. So another thing that we recommend is doing your research. Make your application really stand out by showing that you've done some research. So in writing these slides, I did a little bit of research, and I chose a different university to mine, um, and looked at it from now, if like for an admission application. Just say I wanted to study biomed. So I wrote, La Trobe University's research themes resonate with me, especially understanding and preventing disease, because that's one of their key themes, key things that they believe in. I was excited to read that La Trobe scientists have developed a new tool to reclassify heart risk, because as an aspiring biomedicine student, I wish to gain the skills to conduct research on healthcare innovations. So it's taking some of the things that they're very proud about and really trying to spruik out there to the world and bringing it back to your application and why you are a good fit for that university because you believe in what they're doing, you know about what they're doing because you've cared enough to look into what they're doing, and you can see yourself aligning with the research and the work that they're doing in your future studies or perhaps in your future career. So that bit of research does look good and it makes a big difference. And it's the same when you're going for jobs. Like understand that the place where you're applying to, know what they're into and what they're about, and ask a question relating to it, because they love that you actually cared enough to look up their website and do a little bit of research. And if we look at the next slide, so I also did some research on a scholarship. So at who was it? It was the University of it was a University of New South Wales. I can't remember which one it was now. I think it was the University of Technology
Sydney.
Sydney. Yeah. And so again, making your application stand up by showing you've done the research. So there is a Peter Shergold Asylum Seeker Scholarship. So I thought, okay, sounds interesting. You could just apply for that scholarship, or you could find out who that dude was and really put your application that suits it. Oh, it was University of Western Sydney. Thank you, Sally. That's great. I appreciate that. Um, so they've got, so Peter Shergood must have had a bit of an impact on the university or the community for them to name a scholarship after him. So what's better than saying you want to apply for a scholarship and saying why you are a good candidate for that scholarship in relation to what Peter Shergood did? So I wrote, I'm grateful for the opportunity to apply for the Peter Shergood Asylum Seeker Scholarship. In reading about Professor Shergood, I learned that he coordinated refugee settlement programs and was effective in implementing a whole of government approach to policy development and program delivery. I respect this commitment to improving the outcomes of refugees and other communities, including Indigenous Australians. If I am successful in my application to study the Bachelor of Social Work, I just made up a degree, I hope to follow in his footsteps and help new migrants to navigate their new life in New South Wales. So, have a little bit of a look-see into what the application is. Don't just jump in there and go, yeah, I'll apply for that one. Find out a bit more about it and see if you can add a couple of sentences or a paragraph or something that really speaks to the values and what that scholarship is seeking to achieve. So the scholarship is there to help other people from refugee backgrounds, and you can say how you want to do that too, if that's in line with your goals. All right, resilience. That's me. Okay, so at the end of the day, universities want students who are going to be able to cope with the challenges of academic life. And that's another reason why we say don't use too much graphic language or language that shows that you're not quite managing at this point in time. We really need to show, even in, and it's understandable that you're not. Trauma impacts everybody in different ways and things like that. But what universities want to see is that you can grow in the face of that you can put yourself out there and create something really good with the life that you've got here at this point in time. That's what they're hoping to do because they want you to do well. They accredited courses such as medicine, nursing, engineering, accountancy, law, journalism. All those courses really need to be able to produce competent professionals who are ready for work. Universities are very worried about putting people out into the field without the skills that they should have gained in the course, and sometimes it's hard to deal with that. So if you face challenges and made it through, describe your resilience, describe how you got there and what strengths that you really relied upon to get you there. And in saying that, it's also important to be resilient in the face of rejection. So sometimes courses and applications and scholarships will come your way, and sometimes they won't because it's a competitive market, or you might have just missed out, or there might be a prerequisite that you haven't been able to do. But that's okay because there is something else out there for you. So always try and pick yourself up and try again. I think there's a song that says, "Dust yourself off and try again." You gotta keep trying, and if you really believe in what you're doing and believe in yourself, which is incredibly important, you'll find something, and there'll be people there to guide you as well. And it's okay to ask. Always ask. If you're not sure of something, ask questions. Put your hand up in a session like this. Go to other sessions. Ask questions. Whether you're at school, at uni, you're just in the community looking for the next big thing for you. There'll be people and organizations out there to help. And yeah, just like you say, if you have a dream and you're not sure how to get there, always ask the questions. And you ask the question of this person, they might not know the answer, but their friend knows the answer, and they'll put you in touch with that friend and they'll help you on your path. So by asking questions, you're effectively building your networks and getting yourself to a place where you're able to get the information that you need to find your path. But yeah, as I said, really got to believe in yourself and you got to put yourself out there. So put yourself out there in terms of asking questions, but also in terms of applying and seeing how you go. All right.
Just to give you other tips when submitting your application, try to put everything in one document. Be organized and show that by preparing your document in advance. Save and submit everything in PDF format because that's the safest way. Um, when it comes to the readings, it won't change the formats in your documentation. Um, and then also, when you're preparing your document, use Google Doc. That way, if you're writing your document in the Word documents or in other applications, and if you, unfortunately, there is less chance of you using those documentations, and you can save any changes that you've make as you go. Don't submit the same document for every application. It does reflect you poorly, and that's what we really want to highlight when it comes to the scholarship application. Jude extensively highlighted some great examples that you can reflect in your application. See how you go, practice, and by practicing, you can make that perfect personal statement for yourself. But again, if it's true tertiary admission center, uh, where you need to apply all of your document at once, that's something that you can do and submit all of those documents in one place. When it comes to the letter of recommendation, it's very highly recommended to have letter of recommendations. Make sure that you submit them and make sure that you give extensive amount of time for those representatives to write those applications. If you're asking them only 3 days to the deadline, something that you will not unfortunately receive on time. So be mindful of the time too. So it's just that in addition to your school or your community group, I really want to say a big thank you to Refugee Education Australia because these workshops are extremely valuable and resourceful, insightful that you can use when it comes to your scholarship application and your studies too. Visit their webpage, read over their resources. There is a new recording about the scholarships that are available to our refugees and asylum seekers. Thoroughly read over it, listen to it, and create your spreadsheet as a homework after today's session. But again, as we said, we have got extensive resources in our community that you can utilize when it comes to your engagements, your applications, and importantly, how to build your network with them too. So we have got Refugee Council of Australian Service Finder, when you can find about resources that are available to you. We have got Asylum Seekers Resource Centre that you have got extensive programs of involvement of you in the community, including their volunteering activities, CAP program, which is very successful. And then also they have got individual staff member that can help you and guide you throughout your application. We have got Refugee Education Support Program, the one that I've mentioned. Deacon Create is another way that you can involve and learn more about the scholarships, and then also about paid jobs that are available to you. Salvation Army, and then also other specific programs that are available to you that you can engage and learn more about them. Jude, can you tell us more about Tertiary Education Centre and how our student can use this?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're in year 12 and you're applying for university through a tertiary admission centre, every state and territory has a specific one. So in Victoria, where we are, it's VTAC. In Queensland, it's QTAC. In Western Australia, it's actually called TISC. I'm not sure what that stands for anymore. Oh, Tertiary Institution Service Centre. So it's basically a big clearinghouse. So you just, rather than applying to all the different institutions, you get the opportunity to make one application. You put down preferences. In Victoria, it's 8 preferences for different courses. And when your ATAR comes out, VCAR sends all of that, or your state centre sends all of that to that tertiary admission centre, and then they make a decision based on your preferences, and you will get an offer for the highest course on your preference list that you're eligible for. Now, in that, there are also equity schemes. So you can apply for scholarships and bonus points towards your applications through those as well. And yeah, so just keep a close eye on the instructions. So some places like Monash will do their scholarships based through VTAC, whereas other universities won't. Now, there are tight deadlines to apply. Generally speaking, I think it's around the 30th September for VTAC, and there is an application fee. So the application fee has gone up a bit, I think, this year, but that's another thing. But it is lower if you apply in the early period. As you get closer to November, when they're starting to make some offers, the application fee goes up. So the earlier you apply, the better from a cost perspective as well. And you just apply for their equity schemes and scholarships, because you're all eligible if you come from an asylum seeking or a refugee background. So check that out. Now, if you aren't coming from another university, sorry, if you're not coming from high school, you probably apply direct to the university, as we said. And if you're applying as an international student, make sure you ask their access team or inclusion team, or somebody even through their main student services centre, if you can have a waiver code because you're a temporary visa holder.
And I also asked that questions, should we apply for a scholarship through VTAC or university website? Just
Yeah.
reflecting back on the information that we have given, if you watch the recording of the 2025 Scholarship Expo, you could see that what are the requirements of each university's scholarships, and then you can apply accordingly to that.
Yeah, so just check whether or not that university, that scholarship that you're applying for is counted under VTAC, or if you have to do that directly through the university website. And if you're not sure, you can always ask the question. But if you've applied through VTAC, that will cover you for most. But just if you're applying for a course at a university, check their main website as well. And just double check that you're doing the right thing, that you are going through VTAC, or that you know whether you need to complete that specific application.
And remember this, every institution have got a staff member who really wants to help and support you. So you're not alone, but it's very important to just put the question out to them.
That's right.
Perfect. Again, in terms of how you can reach out to those individuals, you can find their details if you watch the 2025 Expo about the scholarships recording and the resources from the website too.
Um, I think we're up to questions, and Aruza's asked some very good ones. I'm very impressed with your questions, Aruza, tonight. One question he asked is, how do you show resilience about challenges faced without sounding negative or complaining? That's a really good question. I think sometimes it's about knowing what to say and what not to say. So you could say, like, just say you experience time, in a less than particularly great environment. So you might want to say what you gained from it rather than how it broke you or how it harmed you or how it caused you pain and trouble. So it's that idea of like trying to find the silver lining or the positives where you can, because again, they want to see that resilience. So, for example, you might have been in a situation where I'm trying to give an example that would clarify it. So let's just say that you're at school and you barely had the money to be able to afford a uniform or books or things like that, or you had to work, very hard um, to support your family and things like that. So you can say that this was a challenge that I faced, but from it I gained these strengths or this knowledge or these skills. So that's pretty much how you need to put it. So and if it is sounding negative or complaining, or give it to somebody and ask them what they think, and they might be able to help you reform it or restructure it, if it's coming across like that. But if you have an example or something that you want to sort of, cross check with us, we could help you with that. And Arisa, you asked if you should include specific examples like hours of volunteering or position held. Yeah, I think it's important to say how much you volunteer, because like if you volunteered somewhere for 3 hours because your school made you do it, that's a bit different to when you decided on your weekends to volunteer and coach your brother's soccer team, and you did that for an entire season. So you sort of got to weigh up what you did. But any volunteering is useful. Any volunteering will give you great skills. So even if you volunteered at the canteen at the soccer club, and you made hot dogs and sold people drinks. That's still, you're still gaining some really good skills. So it's okay to talk about those. So yes, do explain what you've done and the position held. Or you can just say, like, even if it was 3 hours and you volunteered at an animal shelter and then you found out you were allergic to them, that's okay too. You can talk about that because you gave it a go and you tried to follow a passion or something that you had. And Sally's put a great note also in the chat that if you've got questions like this or you need some extra help, you can email contact us at refugeeeducation.org.au and they'll connect you with the people that you need. And there's going to be another session coming up with volunteering and leadership experience and how to describe that in your applications on the 10th of September. So here's the screen that tells you all about that, how to talk about your leadership and community engagement. And that's going to be run by our very great friends and colleagues, Sue and Kiana from Swinburne University. And they are very smart and they really know what they're talking about. Does anybody else have any questions for Asma or myself? We're also open to all feedback. All right.
If you don't have any question, I'll ask the last question. Have you, Arzu Iftikhar, have you written a personal statement before?
Feel free to come off mute and even put your cameras on if you're comfortable doing so. If not, you can put it in the chat.
We asked this question.
Ladies first, Aruzu. Yeah, you go.
Hi everyone. First, thank you so much, Asma, and sorry I cannot like really pronounce your name, but
Just
thank
go
you
with
both.
Jude.
And but no, I haven't, but I have started for CIS application statements at that things because I have chosen the course preference and then submitted. So just now in the level of CIS applications to need some statements that I need to write, but not before.
Yeah, yeah. So Caesar's a really great opportunity to try that out. And they are read and they're graded in a sense. So it's important to really explain where you come from, what's happened, and then how that's made you you. Yeah, how did you find the VTAC application process? Is that being quite clear?
It was clear, but first, like it was like really stressful as I was like the first child and then
Yeah.
didn't have really anyone to help me. But I found it quite. It was first challenging, but I saw some videos on YouTube and then some
Okay.
feedbacks from some of the friends and then yeah, I did it, but it's still that's
Yeah.
gonna be a little bit hard for this application statements especially.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, do reach out to us if you'd like some further assistance with that. But it's good to know you're putting yourself out there and you're giving it a go. And there might be a number of categories under Cs that you're eligible for. Whether it be underrepresented school where you don't have a lot of people going to university, low socioeconomic background, if you live in a regional or rural area. All those things really count and give you that extra points and extra boost into your courses and possibly scholarships too. Yeah. Did anyone else have any questions or want to talk about their specific circumstances in a general sense, because we understand that can be quite personal. Anything else that we could do to help?
Iftikhar, would you like to answer that question?
Not to put you on the spot.
First of all, thank you so much, Asma and Judith, for organizing this session and
Thank you.
saying a lot about the scholarships and the personal statement. So it's my first time to write in a personal statement to get admission in uni. So basically, I want to get admission in law, JD in Monash.
Cool.
So it would be nice to do something, learn from you people, and it would be great. I'm just applying. I'm just making my statement
Yep.
to apply for this session, coming session. Yeah.
Yeah, so with the JD, it's an interesting course. So, um, you want to talk about, what's drawn you to law? What is it about the law that excites you and makes you want to work in it? And is there a particular part of the law that you're interested in as well? So they want to know that you've done your research, that you've got a particular goal in mind that you're going for. So, if you're interested in commercial law, or you're interested in estates and wills, or you're interested in business law or criminal law, or migration law, all that sort of stuff. So something specific that's drawn you to the law is good. And what you're hoping to achieve with that degree at the end of the day, how you want to help people or
Yeah,
help the
exactly.
community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from the refugee background, as my father arrived in Australia back in 2013.
Yep.
It's been after 13, 20, no, sorry, 12 years, he just got his permanency. So
Oh, wonderful.
long separation, yeah. So it was a bit hard for my family, for me.
Of
So
course.
yes, living separately
Yeah.
from the family members, yeah, from loved ones.
Yeah.
So
That's
first
really
of all,
hard.
yeah, these issue made me push to do something in law,
Yep.
in migration law, and also in the family law, because
Yep.
I see a lot of problems in the society, in the community. So being a lawyer, we can give them a good advice. We can make ease in their life. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And then, when their lives are easier, then they live a healthier, productive life. So and it has that ongoing effect to the rest of the community as well. So, yeah, that's a really important profession, and explaining why it's important, and also explaining, why Monash is important. That they like to hear that sort of thing as well. Just on the side, why do you want Monash rather than, Deakin? They want to know that. No, they go because I like, I read about Professor so and so, and Professor so and so, is very dedicated to this, something like that. That really shows your
Uh,
keenness and that you've done your research.
yeah. When I was in overseas, so I heard a lot about Monash University. So one of the universities, Monash, he came to Pakistan.
Oh,
So he
cool.
was from Monash. Yeah, he
Oh, yeah,
was.
you can talk about that. That's a great thing to talk about. You met somebody from the legal department in Pakistan that inspired you. I like the word
Yeah.
inspire.
So Monash is one of the best universities of Australia. So currently, my friends who have done their law degrees from Monash, and some of them they are doing their masters in
Fantastic.
education. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh,
masters in
excellent.
education. Yeah, so that's why there are a lot of universities. But my first preference would go to Monash.
Hmm.
Yeah, to do my JD from there,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, by obtaining a scholarship with the help of you
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, the scholarships for JD can be a little bit tricky. It can be hard to get a scholarship for any masters or postgraduate courses. But there are some out there. There definitely are some out there. So you have a good look at the scholarships website and find the one that's for you, and just make sure, yeah, you fulfill all that criteria.
Yeah, sure, 100%.
And
Yeah.
remember this, if by the sound of it, it sounds like you do have a permanent residency. Is that correct?
No, I'm on
Not
bridge
yet?
visa.
Okay.
Bridging
So,
visa.
yeah,
Okay.
it's very important to know your visa category and then also the application process. Importantly, explore the style that each institution offer. Deakin University has a great JD program that offers online study that might be suitable for specific students, where Monash and Melbourne is unfortunately face-to-face only. So be mindful of that, see what works best for you, and always don't put your eggs in one basket. Always apply to any scholarships and then also an institution that offer those opportunities to you.
That's a really good point, Asma. Actually, yeah, not putting your eggs in one basket is a great idea because You want them to fight for you at the end of the day. You want to get a whole heap of offers, and then you get to decide which one works best for you. That's the way to go. Now,
Thank you, Asma. Enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
that's okay. There isn't a humanitarian scholarship for a specific humanitarian scholarship for JD and stuff because it is a postgraduate, but there are different scholarships for asylum seekers that you may be able to apply for. If not at Monash, then at other universities. So Sally Baker's just put up in the chat the resources for different visas, and on that website as well, you'll be able to see which university has scholarships and for what study level. And you'll see a lot of them are really for the undergrads, but there are some also for postgrads as well.
Asma, if you go to for students at the top, see the drop down at the top?
Yeah.
For student.
And then scholarships. And so you'll see that we've, if you go to scholarships, not the, sorry, that one. So you'll see we've recently updated this. So John has, John Tran, big shout out to John. He has put in a searchable database in the back end. So Iftikhar, you can look in there and have a look for study levels and the state and territory, and it will give you the options there for postgrad. I think Asma's advice there was absolutely spot on. Definitely don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Apply it everywhere, but make sure that you tailor exactly what Jude and Asma have been talking about in terms of being able to reference your knowledge of each of those universities. Make sure that you are using that kind of stock text that Asma advised you to kind of write in a shared doc, like a Google document, and then adapt that for each of the applications. Because that's going to maximize your chances. As much research as you can, work with someone who can help you. So in Victoria, the Asylum Seeker Resource Centre have volunteers who support. In New South Wales, the Asylum Seeker Centre, in WA, CARAD. There's people all over the country. There's a kind of list of resources. We're building our resources as we go. So keep your eye on our website. We'll have a mailing list soon and a way of keeping up to date with things. But can I say thank you so much to Jude and Asma for a truly excellent presentation. And thanks so much to Arisa and Iftikhar for contributing. And to everyone else who's going to watch this. This was absolutely chef's kiss, outstanding advice. Sue Oldham is on the call here and she's nodding her head. Sue is one of the dynamic duo who'll be facilitating the next webinar on the 10th of September. So that's going to focus much more on that kind of issue of how to talk about community engagement or volunteering and that leadership piece, which is really important for you being able to kind of amplify what you're bringing that others perhaps are not amplifying. We wish that everyone could get a scholarship. Refugee Education Australia is working hard to really push for the expansion of these kinds of scholarships so that they're not quite so competitive. But as with any of these opportunities, it really is on the individual to put your best foot forward. Lots of idioms here today. Eggs in baskets, best foot forward.
And don't leave things to the last minute.
The last minute. Please do share this recording with your friends and peers, and please do share the link, Iftikhar and Arisa, with your colleagues. And we're really looking to build a program of events like this that are really useful for people who are thinking about applying for university, but also we'll be doing things for other school and TAFE and other sectors as well in the future. So if you've got any feedback on what you would like to happen, it's really just a case of us asking wonderful colleagues very nicely if they'll do us a favour. Thank you, Jude. Thank you, Asma. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Kiana, who's going to join us in September. So let us know if there's something that you would like that's going to really help you with either accessing education, participating in education, seeking support, finding a job post study, whether that's in TAFE or in university or at school. We can design activities to suit your needs. So
or perhaps finding a job while you're studying.
Finding a job while you're studying is a really good. Maybe we'll do that next year for the next year's series. But for tonight, thank you very much to Jude and Asma. Thank you to Monash for employing these excellent humans and for really putting their money where their mouth is in terms of you know, really putting great support around, wraparound support around their scholarships and scholarship recipients. Kudos to Monash University. You're lucky to have Jude and Asma. And Sue, we will see you in a couple of weeks. Thanks, everyone.
Sally, thank you for setting everything up. We really appreciate it. It was lovely to meet you all.
See you all. Bye.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.